Good evening. I wanted to read to you today some more out of the Reminisce catalog that I have. I found two sections in it that were on humor, so I thought we would enjoy these together. The first one is called Buster's Orders, and it's by Meredith Manning Hathaway from California. As a student at California's State Monica City College in 1948, I'd go swimming once a week at the Chase Hotel. One evening, a lifeguard at the pool told me that film star was swimming champ Buster Crabbe was going to hold tryouts for a water show he was taking on the road. The tryouts were scheduled for Easter break, and I really wanted to give them a whirl since at age 19 I'd never been outside California, so I worked hard and I made the cast. After many rehearsals, Buster Crabbe's Aqua Parade of 1948 opened at an arena in St. Louis. As I excitedly entered our dressing room, I noticed that on each mirror was a reminder, "Smile." Also, my spot was a lovely corsage box, which prompted the other girls to jeer, "Boy, you're a fast worker, and who sent you that?" With great curiosity, I opened the box. There before me was a pair of foam rubber falsies. The gift came with a note signed by Buster himself that said simply, "Wear 'em." I don't get it. It shows a picture. They're wearing bathing suits, as you can see. I don't know. Maybe the next one will be funnier. Sisters Were No Dummies. And this one's by Karen Linerville from California as well. In 1964, when my sister and I were 6 and 7, we got Jerry Mahoney dolls as gifts. Jerry, the dummy sidekick of ventriloquist Paul Winchell, was a TV star back then, and we loved those dolls so much that we took them everywhere. No matter how much our lips moved when we practiced with them, they were loads of fun. At the market with our mom one day, Christy and I popped up one of our Jerry's dolls in the child seat of the shopping cart. After helping Mom put groceries in the basket for a while, we decided it would be more fun to check out the toys displayed in a small section of the market. Mom didn't hear us announce where we were going, so there she went. She was in the meat section, her back to the cart, asking what we thought Dad would want for dinner. "Do you think he'd like a roast or maybe chicken? Come on, please help me decide." She couldn't understand why everyone in the aisle had fallen silent until she turned around and saw the stunned faces of the other shoppers. Desperately looking for her daughters, all she found was a goofy dummy with a toothy grin staring at her from the cart. Before long, we heard her call, "Karen, Christy, where are you girls?" At first, we didn't know why she was so flustered, demanding, "Where were you? Why did you leave the doll in the cart? I've been talking to this dummy all along, and people think I'm some poor thing." Our giggles probably weren't the kindest reaction, but soon Mom caved in and started giggling along with us. I don't recall what she bought for dinner, but I know the laughter fed our spirits around the table that night. That would be funny. And this one's called That Sinking Feeling by Margaret Kaltenbach from New Jersey. During World War II, rubber was one of the many things needed for the war effort, and it was very hard to come by for consumer items. So to replace the elastic in women's underpants, manufacturers substituted small pearl buttons, which didn't always do the trick. As I stepped off my commuter train one morning, I felt the gentle swish of my pants dropping down past my knees. Not wanting to make a scene, I simply stepped out of them and hurried to my destination. A few moments later, a gentleman ran up alongside me with my underwear in hand. So much for fading into the crowd. Oh my gosh. That would be totally embarrassing. Poor woman. Could you imagine that? We got 3 more here, guys. Or maybe, yeah, 3 more. May he rest in pizza. It doesn't say who this is. Oh, yeah. Here we go. We've excerpted an obituary sent in by Elaine Reed of Portland, Oregon, for the Pillsbury Doughboy, who was buried in a lightly greased coffin at a gravesite piled high with flowers. Flowers spelled F-L-O-U-R-S. The item goes on. Dozens of celebrities turned out to pay their requests, including Mrs. Butterworth, Hungry Jack, the California Raisins, Betty Crocker, and Cap'n Crunch. Aunt Jemima, who delivered the eulogy, lovingly described Doughboy as a man who never knew how much he was needed. Needed like dough, you know. He was not considered a smart cookie, wasting much of his dough on half-baked schemes. Despite being a little flaky at times, he was still a crusty old man and was considered a positive role model for millions. Doughboy is survived by his wife Play-Doh and their children John Doe, Jane Doe, and Dosey Doe. Plus they had one in the oven. He is also survived by his father Pop-Tart. Thou shalt not drink. Sharing this story of a man who wanted to build a tavern is Mary Hudson of Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee. A nearby church congregation strongly opposed it, but construction of the bar went on. Just before it was finished, however, lightning struck the tavern and burned it to the ground. The churchgoers gloated and credited the Lord. The man sued the church, claiming that the congregation's prayers had cost him his building, but the church leaders denied having anything to do with it. Now the local judge doesn't know how he'll rule on the matter. He laments that he has a bar owner who believes in the power of prayer and a church congregation that doesn't. What to do, what to do. And last but not least, What You Don't Know, by Janelle Jones Knox of Springfield, Missouri. A 90-year-old friend of Janelle tells this story about his childhood days in Polk circa 1930. His mama ran a general store, and one day a neighbor lady brought in some butter. "Mrs. Frazier, I'd like to trade in this butter," the customer said. "There isn't a thing wrong with it, except that I found a dead mouse on this morning. I scraped it off clean, but it still bothers me that the mouse was there, so I thought I'd just trade it in, because if someone didn't know, it wouldn't bother them. You know the old saying, what you don't know won't hurt you." Mrs. Frazier just smiled and said, "Of course, I'd be happy to get you some fresh butter." Then she took the package to the back of the store where the butter was kept. In those days, each farm had its own design stamped on its butter, so she carefully smoothed the top of the mouse-tainted butter and stamped it with a different design. "You know, you are so right," Mrs. Frazier said, smiling as she handed the butter to the grateful neighbor lady. "What you don't know won't hurt you." So she gave her back her own mouse-tainted butter. Oh, people, people, people. So there was some funny stories for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. Bye, guys.